I have a question for you that I would like you to answer honestly. If you could decide again, would you be a mother again? Although I am not a mother and could not be a mother, today I want to talk about motherhood. And I do so from my perspective as a man who often listens to many mothers. I am concerned that by idealizing motherhood, many mothers develop guilt complexes, have emotions that make them suffer, because it is not easy to be a mother. It is not easy to accompany a son or a daughter, even less so when there is a whole myth of the super powerful mother, of absolute sacrifice, of the one who is always present, of the one who has a smile for her children, of the one who never regrets having been a mother, of the one who never gets tired, of the one who can do one thing after another at the same time for her children. I am certain, from the experience I have gained from talking to different mothers, that this is not the case. Mothers are human, and as humans they have different emotions when faced with the experience of having given birth or having decided to have a son or daughter. I don't meet mothers who say, "I want my child to die." No, I don't meet those mothers. But I do meet mothers who say, "I love being a mother, but it's so hard. Sometimes I don't have the strength. Sometimes I get tired. Sometimes I don't want to anymore." In a sexist society, where we have been led to believe that children belong to mothers and fathers, I think we have to start with the principle of reality. Look, no one can sacrifice themselves entirely for the other. No one. It is true that we are invited to make sacrifices for the other, but we cannot sacrifice our entire being for the other. And I say this because in our cultures there is an ingrained idea that mothers have to sacrifice everything for their children. And what does that end up with? It ends in exhaustion, frustration, and great feelings of guilt because the ideal is not being met. It is important to understand that self-care is not selfishness, and that for a mother to be able to perform her role adequately, she has to take care of herself and have time for herself. But in addition to that, for a mother to be able to perform her role optimally, it is necessary to create teamwork that allows her to pursue her other interests and develop in other areas of her life. Teamwork is essential here. I think nature was wise in this regard. To make them, to take care of them. A mother needs to have a father at her side who understands that parenting also involves sacrifice, proximity, and direct care. And I'm thinking of simple things like washing the boy or girl who just pooped, taking care of him, making his bottle, and all while the mother is doing other things in her life. For me, the criterion is teamwork, and that the mother abandons those mythical ideals of perfection, because at the end of the day, no one comes knowing how to be a mother, nor do I believe that children come with manuals, but rather one learns and makes mistakes, but each time the task improves. You have to live in reality. The other day I read a study by the American Psychological Association that said that 72% of mothers have felt overwhelmed by the expectations and ideals that people have of them. This reminds me that life is lived from what one is, in one's authenticity. What does this mean? That mothers cannot limit themselves to these stories, to these images of perfect mothers, of ecstatic moments with their children that social networks and the media promote, because these are episodes of life, but they are not the whole life. Many mothers, longing for those perfect episodes that the media and social networks present as the complete life, begin to feel guilty because they generate expectations that they cannot meet. Do not romanticize motherhood. Motherhood is a gift, a present, a possibility for growth, a blessing, but it occurs in the midst of human conditions, in the midst of the circumstances of each human being. Here, it is important to forget that there are perfect mothers, because there are none. The thing is that when you ask your mother, you immediately think that your mother is perfect. You tell a story about your mother's perfection, but it's not true. Our mothers were not perfect. You don't stop loving them because of that. You don't stop valuing them because of that. Of course, there were difficult moments. Of course, they made mistakes. Of course, sometimes they didn't do what you expected. So please, we have to demolish this myth of the perfect mother. It doesn't exist. There are women who live their motherhood from very specific values, from decisions, attitudes, and actions full of kindness, generosity, and responsibility. That is something else. You don't have to be a perfect mother, but rather a mother who lives her motherhood from values, generosity, responsibility, and love. With that, despite your mistakes, despite your difficulties, you guarantee that your role will truly help your son or daughter grow up healthy, comprehensively, as they should. Now, resilience is important. Why? Because when one makes a mistake in any aspect of life, one cannot remain in the error. One needs to reflect, learn from the error, and continue acting, because that has to happen in the exercise of motherhood. You cannot, because you discovered a mistake, judge yourself, point fingers at yourself, and destroy yourself. No, you need to reflect on that situation, learn the lessons that the situation leaves you, and apply them to life, moving forward, giving the best of yourself. Being resilient means living with the certainty that we can always get up. Now, another word that has a lot of power in this reflection is authenticity. Each person fulfills his or her role as a father or mother from his or her own reality, from his or her uniqueness. In other words, mothers are unique and unrepeatable, so it is not worth comparing oneself, which is something very typical of us. She has her behaviors because that is her personality, because that is her genetic and social configuration, and you have yours. Live your motherhood from an authentic perspective and give the best of yourself, knowing how to find space for your other dimensions and interests, and building a team relationship with the person with whom you have decided to share your children. Please forget it. You are not a supermom, you are a mom. And that is enough to achieve your goals. Live your motherhood from the challenges and questions that this human experience generates for you. Do it from your authenticity, putting aside all those myths of total sacrifice, of mothers being so perfect, all those myths that only fill you with anxiety and guilt. Strive to be the best mother you can be for them, but also the best woman you can be, because even though you will be a mother forever, you will still be a woman. And this means that you have a personal project. One of the hard experiences I have had in ministry and in the exercise of my work is meeting mothers whose children have already left, who already have their own lives, and have two characteristics. One, that of not letting go of the child, almost getting into the bed of the son or daughter, because they have not had an individual, personal project, or those who feel destroyed, devastated, because they only understood themselves as mothers and are no longer mothers in the foreground, because the children are building their story. So please, take time. Give your best to your son or daughter, but also give your best to yourself and your other roles, such as wife, worker, or dreamer. Listen, I would like to read your experiences of being a mother, but don't tell me stories. Don't tell me how everything has been perfect with your son. No, no, no. Let's be honest. Tell me about the difficult experiences that motherhood has brought you. I want to read them. I want to read them. And thank you for being here and sharing this episode with me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and send these episodes to as many friends as you can. You know,